Hi, Shintaro. Tell me more about DeNA in DeNA West.
Yeah, so I don't know how many of you know DeNA. DeNA is actually a multi-billion-dollar company based in Japan. The company was originally started back in 1999, focusing on e-commerce opportunity, but starting 2004, 5, 6, really massive shift from PC-based to mobile internet took place in Japan. And then starting 2008, 2009, we are really focusing on mobile game. We're one of the leading player in the mobile gaming market today. And I'm actually in charge of a Western division. DeNA has 3 key markets, Japanese market, Chinese market, and Western market, and basically leading the Western market for DeNA.
Great. So looking at DeNA West, there's been a couple of changes recently, and you also started a bunch of new initiatives. Within the Western region, what is your strategy to grow market share and become a dominant player?
Yeah, so not particularly DeNA West. Actually, we start seeing that really those 3 big markets is completely distinct. For example, if you take a look at the top grossing chart in the Western market, really most of the game, if not everything, is really created by Western game maker. And also, if you take a look at top 10 grossing chart in Japan, really almost entire top 10s are really dominated by Japanese company. The same thing happening in the Chinese market. So in more and more bigger company emerging and a lot of players are competing, but we actually recognize that for us to be really successful in each of 3 markets, we have to be highly localized. So I use the word globalize. You have to think about global market. You have to think about global strategy. For example, to acquire IP, you got to play with premium IP holder targeting for global market. But at the same time, for each region to be really successful, you got to have a really strong player in each regions and have to think about the audience in each market. And that's how we wanted to be successful. So currently, I'm purely focusing on the Western market, people in the West, people in the US, people in Europe, what type of game people wanted to play. And that's my focus. And same thing happening on other regions too.
Okay, is there any specific focus how to grow specifically in the Western region?
So obviously, the easiest and best way to grow is creating hit titles, right? And creating hit title is not that easy, and it's pretty simple. But the simple thing is the game usually have core mechanics. Lots of successful title has similar core mechanics. Our first original successful title here in the West was Rage of Bahamut. And we realized that game system really works in the West, so we decided to utilize Marvel as IP, combining that game system to that IP. So clearly, we are trying to analyze what part of the game really works, what IP really works, and how efficiently we're going to be able to acquire user and potentially utilizing IP strengths. And what we are trying to do is not simply trying to create a hit, but we wanted to create a hit with repeatable success. So we're constantly looking for a way to create structural advantage over other competing company.
So we're talking about IP and partners. So you recently announced a partnership with Nintendo. What can you say about that?
So I can't say too much about a Nintendo deal, but this is really exciting initiative. As we have announced in the past, Nintendo and DeNA are currently making smartphone games. We are planning to make approximately 5 games through March 2017. And also, this deal involved capital alliance between the two firms. So it's a really mid to long-term initiative, and we are excited to work together. And then soon, we should be able to announce about the game.
Great. So you mentioned you have this distinct focus on those 3 regions. How do you see the global gaming market changing over the next, 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so what happened is back in 2009, Japanese mobile social gaming market emerged. Actually, everything started with our game called Kaito Royale. DeNA invented this game called Kaito Royale. Before that, essentially, mobile gaming market in Japan was nothing. And then that game essentially created massive attention from the public audiences. And we definitely created this successful freemium model in Japan. That success model was migrated out to Western market. So Western market is a couple of years behind Japanese market. And after a couple of years, and then also Chinese market start popping up. So today, still the Japanese market is probably the largest mobile gaming market. Highest paying user base. Many game has over 10% paying ratio. Some of the successful game has over 20% paying ratio. So it's an amazing market. But also at the same time, growth of market is much slower than other markets. Now, Western market, I think, follow pretty quickly to Japanese market. Today, people say Western market, including European market and North American market, is approximately $9 billion market. And I think the pace of growth is slowing down recently, but still growing. And then Chinese market is growing really fast. And people predict the Chinese market could be even bigger than Japanese market in the next couple of years. So people estimate that Chinese market is anywhere between $4 to $5 billion by the end of this year. So, it's essentially for anyone to be really successful, you have to somehow how to figure out how to be successful in each of three markets. And what I see is lots of Chinese company has a lot of cash, high valuations, but not necessarily them coming over here, starting up their own, subsidiary or Western subsidiary of Chinese market wasn't successful. So I see many of them doing strategic investment into successful Western company. And I saw Alibaba investing into Kwan. I saw Tencent invest into Glue. Even the Korean company, Netmarble, invested into SGN. So these are really good example of not necessarily 100% acquisition of Asian company 100% acquiring Western company, but really this is a new way of people trying to coming into a different market.
So looking at valuations, I mean, some of the Western companies, trading at 3 to 4 times EBITDA. A good number of the Chinese one, even post-correction, are 10 times plus revenue multiple. How do you think, how will that play out?
I think current situation is absolutely crazy. Crazy in the way that, I do a lot of investor relations for DeNA headquarters, so I do meet lots of people in Wall Street, lots of investors in Asia and Europe. And one thing I can tell you is investors don't play game, so they don't know. Every time I ask them, which game do you like? They say, my kids play this game. So one, I think not many investors really understand the gaming market. When you actually look at the market carefully, top 10 players in each of three markets are stabilizing quite a bit. For example, in Japanese market, past 18 months, based on Appani data, 9 out of top 10 publishers, so exactly same, right? Past 18 months. Which means you might see different game actually being successful in the market, but really the same player is really dominating the market. Sort of same situation in the console market, and investors realize that situation because it's been quite some time, 20, 30 years since the console gaming market is emerged. But I think investors still hasn't figured out how stable, how strong these very successful mobile gaming company in the market. This will get resolved as time goes. People see that continuously those players are making a lot of money. People see that continuously those people constantly producing additional successful hit titles. And then, the valuation will, I think it's follow, right? The Chinese market, I think sort of what happened to Western market back in 2010 and 2011. Lots of BC invested into gaming company. Gaming has a lot of earnings, very profitable. So a lot of technology-oriented company, seeing their multiple so high, for them, it's easier for them just to acquire additional company with cash, and then that earning will be utilized for their high multiple. I do believe that this situation will be also corrected in some time. But meanwhile, I still see that there continuous investment from Asian company to a Western market.
What's your view on the M&A market? Do you see a consolidation coming, similar to what we saw in the console space?
Yeah. So I do believe eventually consolidation will happen, right? 2014 was a big year. A good example is, it's not completely game, but Facebook acquired Oculus, Amazon acquired Twitch, right? Microsoft acquired Minecraft. These are really good examples of different way of consolidations. People see that how a big player could be successful in the mobile gaming market. And also within the mobile gaming market, I think between 2009 through 2012, people are go. I want to grow. This is amazing, explosive growth opportunity. So people buying. Some people learn painful lesson. Some people had some success, including ours. But between 2012 through now, I think a lot of mobile gaming company are trying to figure out what's happening in there, including trying to digest the company that they acquire, how to optimize it, how to run it better, how to create a hit. And now, including myself, it starts seeing who is the winner in which genre, who is a strong player in each market. And it kind of map is really clearing out what has to be done. So I foresee M&A transaction or strategic investment transaction will eventually go up. I don't know if it's going to be in the range of 2014, but definitely 2015 is kind of quiet. But doesn't mean that people are not interested. People are definitely interested. But it's all about supply and demand. I think potential targeted company, they still have a cash from prior transactions. And they're trying to figure out what's the right valuation for those targeted company. Also, the big player kind of know what they need to acquire to grow from here. But the targeted company might not be ready for that transaction. So I will foresee it could be quiet this year, later this year, and possibly next year. But they're definitely interested out there. So when the timing pop up, I think you start seeing the transaction happen.
Do you see increased user acquisition costs as a driver for acquisitions?
Absolutely. I do believe user acquisition cost is continue to go up. CPI basis, if I take a look at today's CPI, absolutely CPI is double, if not triple, in past 3 years. Which means for anyone to justify to acquire an additional user, you have to have high lifetime value of the LTV. We call it LTV. At certain point, it's almost impossible to create such a high LTV to acquire a user. So only way for anyone to justify to acquire a user is you think that you can actually convince that player to actually play multiple games, right? Or you actually acquire a user today before the cost goes up. So one strategy to acquire a user is absolutely utilization premium AP. The other way is really create a successful hit today, somehow figure out how to retain those users, and you can actually retain those users for future game. Today's digital market, still branding company like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Audi, McDonald's, all those big guys still spending vast majority of their money on non-digital media, including magazines and TV commercial. But eventually, those big players will figure out, wait a minute, people are actually spending more time looking at the smartphone than other media, so they will come in. And when they come in, they don't really care about click or conversion or monetization. They really want to have CPM. So naturally, I do think the CPM will go up, which means CPC will go up, and CPI will go up really extremely high. Okay. And for a seller's perspective, let's say if I'm on Facebook, I want to have a branding ads on my platform versus a non-IP based game, right?
Sure.
So I think the supply and demand will definitely drive the market, user acquisition market to go up.
What's your M&A interest? What is within mobile gaming is most interesting, and how do you look at evaluating those potential companies?
So we always try to create structural advantage over other people in the mobile gaming market. I think there are 3 ways to create a structural advantage. The one is, I talked about IP, either creating our own IP or acquiring IP. That's one way, because IP attracts a lot of audience. The second way is actual piece of technology or game system. If someone has really sticky, successful piece of assets, and we value them. Some of them are recreatable, but some of them are not recreatable because it's really unique, and we value those technology. And then finally, the user, right? Even we think we're going to be able to actually create the exact same piece of software by ourselves, but if someone has tens of millions of users already, it might be easier for us to acquire that game or that company instead of recreating that assets and trying to acquire user. Because again, CPI is going up, right? So when we look at actually targeted company, we try to value those 3 pieces, right? User base, piece of technology, and then IP. And combined basis, if the offer price, will be determined, and then if two company agree, then the transaction will take place.
Do you also look at non-mobile gaming company?
That's correct. DeNA is considered as mobile internet company. Clearly, gaming is the most monetizing market out of mobile internet, so we have to be dominant player here. But we think that opportunity within mobile internet is amazing. Particularly, we are focusing on 3 aspects. One is new platform. Becoming a platform is really best way to be successful and stabilize your success. So we're constantly looking for new opportunity or new technology that could be next platform, right? The second thing is new technology, right? AR, VR, robotics, any new technology that people don't have today that's really interesting to us. And then finally, I think last piece is disruptive technology. I'm talking about something similar to Uber, Airbnb. They're legacy industry that has massive amount of economy, but still the technology hasn't been disrupting those industries. So we're definitely looking for opportunity to be a part of those disrupting players.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Shintaro.
Thank you. Thank you so much.